Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. My name's Noelle and I review and unbox subscription boxes here on my channel. And so far for 2024, we have been doing a box every other day, but hopefully everyone gets back to their shipping schedules. Hopefully I find some new boxes for you as well, and I'll be able to go back to our everyday schedule, which is what we've had for the past couple of years. I've had this channel for over 4 years now, which is kind of crazy. So thank you for being along for the ride, whether you are kind of an OG no-bot and you know what a no-bot is, or if you are brand new to the channel and you found us maybe in our Advent series where we actually had 2 videos a day for 25 days in December. But today I have a book subscription that I have been receiving for review and for photography for the past couple of years. It is a little bit more niche than some of the other book subscriptions that I do, where every month they send you a book that is kind of in the darker category. So that can be anywhere from sort of a vintage mystery like an Agatha Christie novel, thrillers, that's kind of 2 of the genres that I really like from this subscription box. And then sometimes there's horror, and sometimes the topics and the actual novels themselves can be pretty graphic, pretty intense, and a little bit darker than what I personally am usually used to or what I prefer. So just know that with Down the Rabbit Hole book box, because that is of course the subscription that I am talking about, they do hints on their social media and in their emails. And if you want to reach out and ask them specifically what the upcoming title is to make sure that it is something that you want to read, I highly suggest doing that. So as a subscriber, if I had kind of seen the hints for this one, I may have skipped this one just because it was very intense. It was a very ambitious book, I will also say, for the topics that it covers, but it was just very graphic, a little violent, a lot of just a lot of triggers, I think, for a lot of readers. So for me, it would have probably been a pass, but I know a lot of you are interested in books that are very smart and able to deal with sort of tense topics in a creative but also masterful and educated way. So in that way, this book definitely checked all the boxes. I should let you know that this was actually the September box, so we had a little bit of a backup. Sometimes she waits until all the subscribers have received their boxes. Hopefully we're going to get back on schedule. I do try to actually read the books that I receive for book subscriptions so that I'm really sharing with you my whole experience, especially when there are gifts that are associated with certain passages or page numbers. I just feel like it gives you a more accurate understanding of how you can receive and enjoy these subscriptions. So Down the Rabbit Hole book box is $49.99 per month. I do think that there are some deals if you're able to do a multi-month subscription. I do know that you can skip if you decide that you have already read that title, or it's maybe one that just doesn't fit your preferences. I do have a code for you. It's Noel15. That'll save you 15%, but there's usually anywhere from like 4 to 6 to even 7 gifts inside that go along with the book. The nice thing about it is, even though they're like lifestyle items, so you can get anything from edibles in terms of like tea or snacks. I didn't mean the other kind of edible, you guys, or, you know, accessories, but it's not necessarily super dark items, right? It's not necessarily items that make you think horror, just little passages, little touchstones that kind of bring the story to life in some way. And sometimes it's a little bit of a just sort of a passing nod at one of the passages, and it's not a literal item from the book, which is a good thing in my personal opinion, because there's a lot of books that we read with Down the Rabbit Hole book box that I would not really want a little memento from. So inside, this is what it looks like. We have that little scary bunny, of course. We have our little boxes that have the scary bunny on them as well. And we have our hint that is going to be on the cover of this little brochure that usually tells you about the author and the read. So ghosts are made of trauma and violence, and I should have absolutely known what I was getting into with that as the hint for the name of this box. The book in question is Tell Me I'm Worthless by Allison Rumfitt, and so we have an image of Allison here and then a little blurb about the book. And of course, then we also have some information about the story or the author as well, which I think is kind of nice to have. But I'm going to go ahead and get into it. There were 4 gifts for this one. I do think that it is fair for me to sort of read the content warning that the author actually included. And I totally understand, you guys, if you decide to skip on this one because it is a very intense topic. The passages that I'm reading, the gifts that I am reading, I don't think that those have any thing that could be very triggering, or I will choose to read around those words and passages, but I do think this is definitely a subscription that can be challenging because she is really good about picking diverse reads and diverse authors. So, Tell Me I'm Worthless is a book about two things primarily, and those things are trauma and fascism. I thought it important to include a content warning here at the start to say that. In dealing with those topics, the novel covers racism, anti-Semitism, transphobia, rape, both in abstract and graphic ways, self-harm, and suicide. You might disagree with the inclusion of a content warning at the start of a book. If that is the case, then you are within your rights to do so. Please do not, however, complain to my publisher about this. The choice was mine and mine alone. So definitely taking responsibility. I really appreciate that, but I will say, I mean, that is an intense list of topics, but that was just like, didn't even scratch the surface on how dark, how graphic this novel really was. So again, I know that this is not for everyone. It was like kind of not for me in all honesty, and I totally understand if this is not a review video for you to watch. But I did think it was interesting in terms of kind of exposing me to a whole lexicon that I didn't know about. For example, I didn't even know what a TERF is, which is an acronym for Trans Exclusionary Radical Feminists. And it was just interesting to me because I'm not much of one for horror, and there are a lot of books, I feel like, especially now, it's got its own whole genre where a home or a house can really be its own character, you know, since the days of Haunting of Hill House, right? Where the house has a character. And sometimes I think that can be a little bit hokey, but honestly, in this book, I did find that pretty successful in terms of what the house represents, and it was its own character, and I did think that was pretty well done, which is kind of surprising for someone like me. But let me go ahead and read the blurb to you. We'll read the 4 passages, we will check out the gifts, and then we will be all done. All right, so it's very much a political horror book. So again, a genre that I wouldn't normally go for. So, and this is what it looks like. I've seen different cover art for it, but this one was not necessarily, didn't let you know really what you were getting into. 3 years ago, Alice spent one night in an abandoned house with her friends, Illa and Hannah. Since then, Alice has lived a haunted existence, selling videos of herself for money, going to parties she hates, drinking herself to sleep. Memories of that night torment Alice, but when Illa asks her to return to the house, she knows she must go. Together, they must face the horrors that happened there, must pull themselves apart from the inside out, put their differences aside, and try to rescue Hannah, whom the house has chosen to make its own. Cutting, disruptive, and darkly funny, Tell Me I'm Worthless is a vital work of trans fiction that examines the devastating effects of trauma and how fascism makes us destroy ourselves and each other. I didn't find a lot of humor in it. It felt very honest. I think there's definitely that intention of having Alice and Illa, how their names even kind of mirror one another. The house has a name. We learn the history of the house and the traumas that are like just geographically embedded in its history. That is a stand-in for Great Britain because the house is called Albion. Let's see if I can find anything else. But yes, so Alice is a trans woman, and Illa was her like best friend and occasional, not, I wouldn't say lover, but partner. And Illa is, I believe, a Jewish lesbian. I feel a little bit like odd even putting those labels on them, but it is important to know because they are the main characters along with the house. So let me go ahead and go to gift number 1. Really interesting passages, but again, a lot of like very tough language, a lot of language that I don't feel comfortable necessarily reading here on YouTube. So gift number 1, you can see it's in this nice big bunny box. Let me see if I can find this one. So this is in the voice of Alice. I get the bus across town to the address John texted to me with a note saying to get there at about 10 because things will be really happening by then. The air outside is cold and the foxes are out at the bins at the end of my road tearing at black plastic bags, barking their strange human screams. I steer clear of them and wait for the bus, which when it arrives is busier than I expected, full of other people going to other parties, some of them already drunk. I'm not drunk yet. I had a couple of glasses of red wine, sat on my bed listening intently to Darkthrone and trying to calm my nerves, but it hasn't hit me. Not with the same force that pre-drinks have hit a lot of the partygoers on the bus. So this is what it looks like when you come to a page that has an associated gift. We have that little pink post-it. I realized that I should probably be reading this in a British voice because this is definitely, it feels very current in terms of the topics. Like there's allusions to COVID, for example, and just the political temperature. It feels very like it could feel dated, you know, in a few years, but it feels very, very current. It was definitely a book. If you want to read it, I would read it sooner than later. So we got this really cool insulated tumbler with a little straw because, you know, she was at home having her glasses of wine, getting ready to go to this party. It's got a nice little top to it, of course, that has a room for the straw. But see, this is an example, you guys, where it's a nice item that doesn't necessarily make you have to think about trauma and violence and fascism and trans rights and all the things that are kind of encapsulated into this novel, which is definitely still a horror novel. Like, definitely don't forget that. But a nice item for a subscription box in general. All right, let's move on to the next one, which came on page 51. Let's see if I can find this one. On page 51, okay, let me see if I can remember what this is. So this is about Illa, and this is kind of a little bit of a flashback. The painkillers made everything seem fluid. The world was smeared all over with Vaseline. The room she was in was white. The sun shone in through the window and made a yellow box in the middle of the floor. In the years since this moment, Illa would relapse. Of course she would, but it is important to know that then, looking at the yellow patch of sun on the vinyl flooring of the hospital room, she decided that she would do her best to live. All right, so that is gift number 2. Oh, I was saying I should be reading it in a British accent because it feels very current events for the UK, for Great Britain. So, all right, here is gift number 2, a little bit of a smaller box. There's usually a lot of shred in these boxes too, but I take that out ahead of time. So we have our little yellow box, and we have it as a little travel jewelry case. So it's kind of it's not a super bright yellow, it's kind of this nice yellowy cream color. And of course we have a nice travel jewelry box. So again, a nice example of an item in this box that just sort of highlights a moment in the story that, again, is not as dark as the story itself. So nice useful thing, but there's that yellow box, which I like to think of as a symbol of her deciding to live, since she has had a history of not wanting to. All right, let's see if I can find the next one, which is on page 110. Open gift number 3, if I can remember. I believe Alice, oh, so back at a party. So it says she's at a party. I just didn't realize that there would be a lot of people here. Even as I say that, I can see through the archway of the living room door 3 girls have arrived in short, tight dresses. Didn't John tell you? Sasha asks. No, he just said he was having a couple of people over, not a whole party. I try to laugh, but it sounds about as forced as it is. Tell you what, says Sasha. Well, we set up a chill-out room upstairs. I'll take you up there, and you can come down when you're feeling a bit better. How's that? Yeah, sure, yeah. That sounds great. There is a second layer to the flat. A further floor with smaller rooms up a smaller staircase near the kitchen. The stairway that leads up there, which she guides me up, is almost too tight for me to cope with, but the room itself is larger. Not too large, not a looming space, but not claustrophobic. Sasha sets me up on a bean bag in the room. It smells like incense, and there's a mood light transitioning from green to blue. So, and then she kind of laughs at herself for needing a chill out room, which is usually something for kids. But here we have gift number 3, a little bit of a bigger box. And I think the nod is to the incense. And it is some rainbow sage. Now, usually we get a little card from them that says, you know, that this was like sustainably and ethically sourced sage, because I know that that's definitely an interest, something that people like to think about. But I thought this was really pretty. I'd never seen a rainbow sage before with those pretty almost watercolor petals, but It does smell so good, but this seems like an appropriate gift for a book that is about a haunted house, essentially, just because sage is cleansing, right? So I thought that was a kind of cool gift. I was surprised that that was the passage that it was associated with, but basically they're like dyed rose petals, I think, that are on there. And we did get 2 sticks of this nice sage, which it does smell great, but you know, if you feel like your house has any traumas embedded in it, maybe you want to sage it, or maybe just for the new year, you know? Again, this was actually the September box. You'll probably be seeing one more down the rabbit hole book box on the channel this month. And then I'm kind of trying to go, depending on how soon she sends them to me. I have the October box. I'm trying to do 2 a month to get us caught up again. I did that once before, and then hopefully she's able to send them to me at a regular rate, so I can just be doing one of these dark reads per month. But she does alternate, so it's not just like horror usually. And like I said, I usually prefer the thrillers and the mysteries, and these ones can be like just very challenging for my own taste and comfort. But again, sometimes that's one of the great things about books, is that we can get outside of our comfort zones and be a little bit challenged. And like I said, I also do think that this was a very smart book that definitely showed a lot of grappling with difficult topics. All right, let's see if we can find the last one, which was on page 244. And then I do have a nice passage that I thought was kind of just an interesting one. All right, so gift number 4 looks like this. Let me see if I can remember what it is. So this one is a passage where there is just a lot of language that I am personally not super comfortable reading on here. So let's see. Let's see. And you're going to be surprised by what I can actually read. It says, "My mummy killed my mummy. My daddy killed my mummy. My Hannah's red lipstick is smeared across his face. They arrest his body and put it on trial." That's all I can read from that passage. But yes, it's dark, because we see all of these sort of different sliding doors, these different paths that these characters take. It's very disorienting. You don't know how much of it is really true about this haunted house, how much of it is symbolism, how many things are actually happening or just sort of intuited and felt by certain characters. I'm being a little obtuse, but let's go ahead and see what our final gift is. So we got some gold foil flower color changing lipstick. So that was the reference was, of course, the lipstick smeared across someone's face there. So I'm gonna go ahead and open it up because I haven't opened it yet. But we actually got 2 of these. I'm not sure if she actually just sent me 2 because they had overstock after sending out all the boxes back in September, or if it's because I'm hopefully gonna take some photos. It's a difficult box to take photos of, because really I'm just taking photos of the products. But that is one of the reasons that even when it's not necessarily a book that I would choose for myself, I do try to give the subscription a fair shot and read the book so that I understand the passages, the nods, the allusions that are made with the actual items. So, sometimes even when they got a tab, those can be hard to open up. All right, so I got the plastic open, but now I still can't get the lipstick out. Let's see if I can pull this out. All right, this is interesting. I thought it almost looked like a chess piece on top. Wow, very fancy mood-changing lipstick. So let's see what it looks like. Oh, so it's one of these. It's got like a flower in it. It's like clear, pink clear. Wow, that's pretty cool. I gotta say, I'm not gonna actually swatch it or anything right now, just because I need to, like I said, take some photos. But I've never seen a mood-changing lipstick quite like that, or a lipstick container quite like that. But it's pretty impressive. All right, you guys. I thank you so much for being here with me in this unboxing. Let's actually have a secret password for those of you who got thus far. If you haven't seen it before, when you come across a secret password on one of my videos, you want to enter it along with your contact information in the Google form that is linked for you in the description box below. And then about 5 days into the following month, so about a week into February, I'll use a random number picker to select a few winners to receive a mystery box from yours truly as my way of saying thank you so much for being a subscriber of my channel. That is one of the the prerequisites. You also have to be 18 years or older and have a US or Canadian mailing address. Right now, Canadians, I am not shipping to Canada, but I can talk with you through either doing a gift card or helping you out in purchasing a Canadian subscription box, just to make sure that things get to you, because I've had some issues with customs and just the shipping is kind of cost prohibitive right now. But I do want you to be able to participate. So our secret password for today is going to be house, because this was all about a haunted house. Yes, it was about trauma and fascism, but it was really about a house. In my mind, that's how I'm going to think about it. You also have to remember that this is not affiliated with YouTube or any of the boxes that I open here on the channel, but today's secret password is house. Again, thank you so much for being here. I think that this was maybe the first secret password of the year. I think so, but there's usually about 10 to 12 of them throughout the month. And right now, because I don't have as many videos, there's a good chance that you're going to see a lot of secret passwords in the upcoming videos. I'll see you all very, very soon in my next unboxing.